I paid for half the centerpieces. I mention that not for sympathy, but because it's the kind of detail that tells you everything about how my family works. My parents' 40th anniversary dinner. 50 guests, a rented ballroom downtown, salmon or chicken, a slideshow my cousin Marcus put together using photos I'd scanned and sent him, and I paid for half the centerpieces without being asked, because that's how it's always gone. Someone sees a gap. I fill it. No one marks it down. I've been filling gaps for a long time. Marcus's first business, a food truck he was certain would anchor a whole franchise, lasted 14 months. I gave him $40,000 across 2 transfers. I didn't call it a loan. He didn't either. His second attempt, an online retail operation I never fully understood. I gave him $22,000 and co-signed a line of credit that I spent the better part of a year quietly paying down after he stopped. My parents' property taxes, 3 years running, because the conversation about why they couldn't cover them themselves was one nobody wanted to have. I didn't want to have it either. It was easier to just handle it. None of this was dramatic. That's the part people don't understand when I try to explain it. There was no coercion, no explicit pressure. It was more like water finding its level. I was the one with income, then savings, then eventually something that looked like real financial stability. So I became the place the family tilted toward when things got uneven. I accepted that. I didn't resent it, not most of the time. The lake house I bought 4 years ago, after a business exit that I'd spent a decade engineering. I found the property on a Tuesday, closed on it 11 weeks later, and told my family about it only after the paperwork was signed. Not because I was hiding it. Because I knew, in some part of myself I hadn't fully named yet, that the window between I'm buying it and I bought it was one I needed to move through alone. It's the only thing I own that no family money touched. Not because I was protecting it, just because I moved faster than the ask. My father's speech was good. He's always been good at speeches. Warm, unhurried. The kind of cadence that makes a room settle. He talked about 40 years, about what it means to build something together. About the word legacy, in a way that didn't feel hollow until it did. Then he looked at me. He said Marcus needed a foundation. That the family had talked. He used that phrase. The family had talked. As if this were a decision that had been arrived at collectively and reasonably. And that the lake house, given its value and given Marcus's circumstances, made sense as a transfer. A fresh start. He said he knew I would understand. My mother was nodding. Slowly, like she was confirming something she'd already agreed to in a quieter room. 50 people. The salmon was still being served at the far end of the table. I sat with it for a moment. That's the only way I can describe what I did. I just sat with it. There was no flood of emotion, no cinematic rush of anger. It was more like finally hearing a sound you'd been half aware of for years suddenly played at full volume. Oh, I thought. So this is what it was building toward. I said, clearly and without raising my voice, that I wouldn't be doing that. My father's expression shifted. Not to anger, not yet. Something more like recalibration. Then I placed my phone on the table, face up, and I told him we should find time to talk privately. Soon. About the Elmwood LLC. 3 weeks before the dinner, I'd received a call from a county assessor's office. There was a discrepancy in some property filings. Filings my father had asked me to help organize 4 years earlier, during a period when he said he was overwhelmed with paperwork and trusted me with the administrative side. I had complied without much examination. I trusted him too. When the discrepancy surfaced, I hired an attorney immediately, concerned about my own exposure. The documentation process she walked me through was thorough. It required pulling a significant amount of financial history. And in that history, sitting unremarked, was an LLC registered in my father's name, Elmwood Property Holdings, with 4 years of rental income that had not been reported the way it should have been. There was also a lien on a property my mother believed was fully clear, 11 years old. She didn't know about it. I'm nearly certain she didn't know. My attorney confirmed my own non-involvement within 2 weeks. I was not liable for anything. I sat on the rest of it because I didn't know what to do. You find something like that about your father, and there's no clean path. I wasn't going to report him. I wasn't planning to use it. I was still deciding what it meant, what kind of conversation it required, whether the conversation was even mine to initiate. I wasn't carrying it as a weapon. I want to be clear about that. But when he stood up in front of 50 people and asked me to hand over the one thing I'd built alone, asked it publicly, framed it as family consensus, waited for me to nod, something in me simply declined to perform the expected response. The Elmwood question was the only card I had. I put it on the table quietly, and I watched my father go still. I left before dessert. I didn't make a scene. I said goodbye to my aunt near the door, and told her the salmon had been lovely. My attorney contacted my father the following Monday. I don't know exactly what was said. I know there are conversations happening now that I'm not part of, and I've made peace with that. Marcus called twice the following week. I let it go to voicemail. My mother called once and didn't leave a message. I'm at the lake house as I write this. It's cold this time of year. The water is flat and gray and there are no boats. I've been sitting on the back porch most mornings with coffee, not doing much, just watching the light change. I don't feel like I won something. That's not the feeling. It's more like I finally stopped covering a debt that was never really mine. And now I'm standing in the quiet that follows, not sure what to do with it yet. The centerpieces, my cousin told me later, were beautiful. I don't doubt it.